We've been talking about the importance of nonverbal communication. And nonverbal communications are important both to you, but they're also important to your client. They're also important to your employees. They're also important to your shareholders. They're important to that environment that is beyond you. It's important to others. And you are responsible, no one else, not your boss, not your parents, not your siblings. You are responsible for how you look, how you present each day. And this is something that we have to be accountable for. And I think if we're in business, and my business now is to teach and to present. I'm accountable for how I present each day. And this is a part of the responsibility that I take on in dealing with others. Why? Because I need to come across as someone that is competent in what I do. I also have to come across as someone who is knowledgeable in what I do. And some of you may be saying, well, how I look and so forth doesn't really matter. You may think it doesn't matter, but in fact, all these things are factored in when we meet each other. Now, some of the other things that I think are important for us to remember is that we have a responsibility when we communicate to set the tone for that communication. Is it going to be a pleasant experience? Is it one where we can open up and talk to each other? Is it going to be one-sided? Is it going to be two-sided? Are other people going to be welcome to join us in this communication? These things we will develop an expertise in as we go along in this program. But I want you to be thinking about this and ask yourself every day, how is it that I go about? Do I just take communication for granted and not think about what I'm going to do? And then ask yourself, look at the great communicators. Look at those people who truly communicate well in this world and say, what is it that a Churchill had? What is it that a Ronald Reagan had? What is it that this actor or this actress had that made them such good communicators? And I assure you, they didn't leave anything to chance. Nothing was left to chance. Many of these things were rehearsed ahead of time so that when they were on stage, when they had a presence, and that stage could be just walking out of the elevator and walking past your staff, there was a sense that this person can be counted on. This person can be relied on. And believe me, this is infused into an organization, and it's infused by what we talked about just a minute ago, the fact that all nonverbals have meaning. One of the things that we're also responsible for is the perception of others. And how do we see them? Are we making them comfortable? Are they comfortable? If we're in a 2-hour meeting, 1-hour meeting, are these folks feeling comfortable? Or are they starting to show signs of displeasure? Are there issues that they are letting us know through their comportment and so forth? Well, this is our meeting. I'm the one that's supposed to be assessing them. It's not the kind of thing where you can normally say, hey, let's take a break. I'd like to take your temperature and see how you're doing. We don't do that. We do this non-verbally by looking at, are they enjoying the experience? Do they have issues? And what are they demonstrating? Maybe they're already showing us intention cues. Maybe they're already leaning forward with hands on their knees, demonstrating that they're ready to go. We have to be sensitive to these things. Maybe they're looking at their watch, 6 times in the last 3 minutes. They want to leave. All these things I'm responsible for. So not only do I have a responsibility for myself, how I present the environment and so forth, I'm also responsible for these individuals, whether they're my employees or my customers or friends, whatever it is. I'm responsible for how they are receiving the messages that I'm sending and how they're responding to me. That is my task and my responsibility. The other thing is, I'm also responsible for building long-term trust. Let's say I want a long-term relationship with this company or with these groups or with this employee. How do I engender this? How do I create an environment? How do I create the nonverbals where we will create an atmosphere of trust, of longevity? These are what make for best customers. These are what make for best organizations, where you feel like you're a part of the organization, where you're genuinely transmitting these sentiments that we are a collective. We do this non-verbally. We don't do this with a memo. We don't do this with words. And so these things we need to be thinking about, and if we care about what we do, if we truly care about what we do, we need to think about these things at all times. People are often concerned when they're talking to others and they say, well, you know, I was talking to this individual, maybe I was talking to the boss, and they don't make a lot of eye contact with me. What does that mean? Well, I don't want you to be worried about that because, in fact, a lot of people find great comfort in being able to talk to you and then just being able to look away. When you're talking with friends, most of the time, initially they're looking at you, but after a while they're looking in the distance. And what it really means is that they're comfortable enough that they can look away. Then there's other people who are just so shy, who have such difficulty in talking to other people that they may look down or away from you. Don't draw any inference from that beyond the fact that this is how they handle interpersonal communication. It may not be the best, but in certain situations, this is perhaps the best that they can do. One of the things that you can look for is see if this changes over time. Number two is see if backing away from them. A lot of times, just by merely backing away, all of a sudden then you see their eyes come up. And what's been happening is they've been uncomfortable because maybe you've been standing too close. And then the reality of it is that sometimes you're going to be up talking to someone who's just not very comfortable with eye contact, and that's really all it is. If you're trying to figure out whether this person likes me or doesn't like me, you know, there's other behaviors you look for. How often they talk to us. The kinds of terms that they use when they greet us. Do they smile? Do they touch us in any way? Other things which are really more indicative of whether this person likes me or doesn't like me. Behaviors of gaze, looking at you, looking away, not really that significant.